You know what's interesting? How Entheos told us a while ago. There's other places you can donate to beside the Red Cross when things happen. And, Red Cross, FEMA. Here's an interesting comment from a guy named Ryan Tyre, Tyre, on Twitter. This this lets you know everything you need to know. Now we've got billions, tens of billions, over 100 billion now sent to Ukraine without anyone batting an eye. Just, oh, here you go. We just sent, I think it was half a billion to Taiwan. Oh, here you go. And we have all these people whose houses have been destroyed, loved ones dead, people, body parts floating in rivers, hanging up in the trees. Like, incredible stories that are unbelievable. Here's, once again, like Hawaii, here's $750. Have a nice day. But what if other American citizens decide, I'm going to go help myself? I've got some money, I've got some canned goods, some water, a truck, whatever. I'm going to go in there and help. I've got a helicopter, let's go. And as you all probably heard recently, that helicopter pilot saying the local, I don't know if it was the chief of police or the assistant chief of police, whatever, the secondary chief, told them to get lost. This is my, command zone, and I'll have you arrested if you interfere, and da da da. He can't believe what he's hearing. He's like, I dropped my son off, my co-pilot, with this. I forget if I think he took the lady and the husband was still back there. I'm going back there to get him. Well, if you fly over there, we're gonna have you arrested. I'm going to get my son back. And all right, finally they're like, okay, but that's it or something. Like that's all you can do. Just you can't even believe it. So here's a story, first-hand account of a couple of hurricanes, Florida, previously. And this guy tells us exactly what it was like working with FEMA. Again, Ryan Tyre, Tyre. If you're wondering why citizens are being turned away that are coming to help North Carolina and Tennessee, you'll want to hear my experience as someone who has been doing this as a private citizen for almost a decade. I was about to get into and out of Asheville. We brought food, water, fuel, and other supplies as well as help people affected by the floods, but there are reasons why they are not allowing outside help. I cannot confirm the reasons why in North Carolina, but I can tell you the reasons in other storms I have worked, and I'll explain below. Let me share with you the first disaster area that I finally realized this was all about money. In the Florida Keys with Hurricane Irma, after Texas got hit with Harvey, we finished our efforts in Texas and were in the first citizen team to make it to Key Largo. The federal agencies had US 1 shut down just south of Key Largo and wouldn't let anyone in or out, even though the road was okay to pass. We explained to them that we had boats, jet skis, food, water, chainsaws, and fuel to bring to these people. They didn't care and wouldn't let us in. It was night by that point, and you rarely saw the lights of vehicles in the distance on the individual keys, meaning the emergency response teams from FEMA weren't even working. It was all quiet. We decided that we would go in anyways. We filled up the boats and jet skis with all that we could reasonably carry and went by water around all their BS blockades and around their law enforcement presence on the water. It was 87 miles by water to get to our first stop, Cujo Key and Sugarloaf Key. When we arrived there, we were greeted by a homeowner. For privacy, I won't name him, though we have video, who was elated to see us and all the supplies we brought. His house was in shambles. We started offloading supplies on the shoreline and helping to get them into what was left of his house. During that process, he explained to us that FEMA had set up a command center at a local high school on the island, but that they weren't doing anything to help the residents, not even bringing them water. Instead, he explained that they were driving around using a loudspeaker, telling people to stay in their homes. They weren't even helping the homeowners with supplies. I was skeptical at first while he was telling me all this, but then he said something that broke my heart. He told us that the people of the Keys were all in despair because they had just seen weeks before the overwhelming support for Texas with Hurricane Harvey by the citizens of this country. He and his neighbors on all the Keys felt like Americans had forgotten about them completely, because at this point, 5 days after landfall, all they had was seen was FEMA, and they were of no help. Their residents were cut off from the outside world, no cellular, no internet, no way to contact anyone or hear of any efforts to try to help them. The only communication they had was from a local radio station on Sugarloaf Key that was broadcasting on AM to the surrounding keys. The man, after hearing that there were citizens trying to bring them help, but being refused by entry by law enforcement, federal law enforcement in particular, was visibly upset. He and his neighbors really thought the country had abandoned them. He insisted that we get into his waterlogged truck and that he would take us to the radio station so that we could go live on air to tell the citizens trapped in the Keys that we, the American people, were there to help and that the government was trying to stop our efforts. And that is exactly what we did. After that, we were determined to help as many people as we could, but we were met with red tape throughout the whole process and time we were in the Keys. We finally were able to talk to some authorities to let us down to the Faro Blanco Resort in Marathon towards the end of Boot Key. This was the same hotel where state and local authorities were staging their personnel, and they were so happy to see us. I was able to coordinate several trucks full of supplies to be brought down to the EOC in Marathon. I was privy to the EOC meeting, but was informed in that meeting that all of the semi-trucks full of food, water, and hygiene supplies were to be turned around and not allowed to be offloaded or distributed by the EOC. The reason they gave us was that these donations were not from companies on their preferred vendors list, and that they would not accept them or give them to the residents of the Keys impacted by the storm. It was at that point that I realized this is all about money. These preferred vendors are getting part of the money being released by the state and federal government for each disaster. In turn, some of the vendors make it on the list because a friend gets them on the list, and in return for getting ridiculously outlandish amounts of money for the services they render, they give kickbacks. So accepting outside donations, even though they are on location and can help people now, they would rather let people suffer so they can get their kickbacks. This meeting solidified my resolve to help these people, regardless of what the greedy officials wanted. We were going to feed the lower Keys that were being neglected. I diverted all semi-trucks to the Faro Blanco Resort in Marathon and filled the entire first floor with pallets upon pallets of food, water, and essential supplies, and created a food pantry for residents to come and get anything and however much they needed. From local state troopers to the homeless, all were given wheelbarrows and free rein to get anything they needed. We also delivered supplies down to Big Pine Key. We helped establish the tent city on Big Pine Key. Big companies like Tito's Vodka and Wayland just kept bringing trucks. Wayland, I believe, is like a police and emergency vehicle lighting and siren company. They sell all those parts, I believe. They just kept bringing trucks full of everything that was needed. When FEMA finally started handing out boxes of canned goods, limited to one per household, we were filling cars full of food and supplies for people and pets. There is so much more to the story in the Keys, and further from there in other storms we worked. The common theme, though, is that the federal government always tries to keep citizens from helping, and the local authorities, the ones that live and work in the area, are always happy to have outside help. I call out to Elon Musk and anyone else who can monetarily help people like myself and those that want to work with me, who have the knowledge and the will to help those devastated by these disasters. Help us sidestep the red tape and get the people the relief they need. We are willing and we are many and we are ready. And I'll just give you a little quick view here of some of the pictures they put up. And again, these are past storms. This is in the past. So I will put this link up in the description and I'll make a pinned comment in case you do want to help this guy and get him some money for him to continue doing this kind of work. I do see Elon Musk replied, "Wow, sounds like serious government reform is needed." And then this guy replied back to him, "I really trust that you are the man for the job, brother. Sincerely." So I don't know if Elon just threw him a couple bucks or what. Doesn't matter, whether it's not all about Elon. We need to figure out you know what we're doing as citizens to help, and it's just incredible. But being who I am and knowing what I've known all these years and doing all these videos I've done for over a decade, this doesn't even surprise me, kind of. Not even slightly. So, worth doing a video to repeat this guy's story. Yeah, some serious reform in government is needed. Get rid of effing FEMA. Get rid of all of it. We'll handle it with our own money. How about that? So, anyways, um, there's that video. Take care.